Okay, being 4 o'clock, I welcome everyone to the workshop. Firstly, I'll ask the IT support to let me know if we're recording. We are recording. Advise everybody that we are recording this meeting, and if you wouldn't mind, please switch your phones to silent. And all I ask is everyone to debate the issue and respect the issue and not debate the person. Also, CEO, any apologies? Oh, sorry, I'll do acknowledgement to country first. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land of which the City of Hobart is meeting on. I also like to acknowledge the determination and resilience of all those people that have migrated to this country and born in this country, which makes this country what it is today. I was actually at an event on Saturday in Glenorchy, which was a multicultural event, and it was quite ironic that the organisers of that event acknowledged the migrants that have come to this country and made it to what it is today, and in particular those that have become Australian citizens during that time. Confirmation of minutes. Someone move, please. Lord Mayor. All those against? No one against. Carried unanimously. Consideration of supplementary items, there's none. Indication of conflict of interest, there's none. I will acknowledge, actually I should have acknowledged those present here today is Councillor Elliott, Councillor Kitsos, the Lord Mayor, Councillor Dutta, Councillor Lohberger and Alderman Bloomfield. Sorry, I had to go from Alderman, that's what triggered that. Transfer agenda items. Now we've got Councillor Kelly's in the room as well. Thank you, Councillor Kelly.
Chair.
Yes.
I do have an item for this one.
For transfer? Yeah. Okay, I'm listening.
I'm just wondering about the item 4.1 in the closed portion. Whether that could be moved into the open. I just don't know whether it would meet the threshold for closed.
CEO, I'll leave that call to you. There's been an item. I'd like you to give explanation as to why you firmly believe it should be in the closed.
Thanks, Chair. So the matter is enclosed largely on the back of insurance liability issues that have been raised. I thought, and it's explained in the report as to why the step was taken to be able to consider those enclosed.
Lord Mayor?
I'm just not sure whether I'm just concerned that given this is a matter of a lot of public interest, whether it should be enclosed. So I'll just.
So you're challenging the CEO in regards to the insurance liability. Is that what you're saying?
I thought the closed. It had to be an active legal matter.
Insurance liability could be an active legal matter?
It is relating to potential legal claims against the council, which is why it's in there. It's certainly proposed that we deal with it through the workshop. It would be an open clearly when we make the decision and determine it during the council meeting.
And I guess that's what concerns me, that I think with having conversations and then it being in open, it just might send a bad message.
Lord Mayor, if I may, it's not the first time that we've discussed something in a closed environment and then mattered.
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt, thank you. And then matters that where decisions were made and have gone into an open council after that. I believe that the CEO has provided us with a potential insurance issue which could cause liability issues for this council. At the end of the day, it's up to the committee here to decide which way they want to go. I'll go around the table now.
I'll just move it as a motion and that we can vote or not.
Okay, that's fine. Councillor Elliott, you got any points you want to make?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor Kelly?
Okay.
Councillor Kitsos?
No, thank you.
Councillor Dutta?
Yeah, I just have a clarification to seek before I go forth. May I?
Of course,
Thank
the CEO is here.
Through you,
Yep.
to the CEO. With regards to insurance liability, is it similar to or same as other legal liabilities? This is an insurance liability. And then the second part of that is, Could we not talk about that in the open if we were to discuss it?
CEO.
So it relates to potential liability and versus complaints that we've received in respect to the way that this shared use venue operates. It's unique, the way that it functions relative to our dog exercise areas that exist across the municipal area. So the presentation today is based largely around the advice that we've received from our insurer in terms of being able to mitigate that risk. And again, it was felt better place for the council to be able to consider that in the closed environment, given that there is potential threats of legal action against the council.
Thank you.
Councillor Lohberger.
Yes, no, I thank the CEO for that advice.
Thank you.
Chair.
Alderman Bloomfield.
I think I'm fine for now, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Elliott.
Just one question to clarify, through you, Chair to CEO. So is it fair to characterise that as potential as being legal advice umbrella?
Yeah, well, the reason is, and Karen's got the section there in terms of, so it's around potential legal action. It's current or potential legal action against the council, of which we think, based on the correspondence that we've received from stakeholders associated with use of the facility, that exists.
Okay, Lord Mayor.
Yeah, if I could just ask for the exact clause that we
Ms.
were
Avey.
closing it under
Thank
in the
you.
Local Government Act.
Through you, Chair. So this is section 17, 4B of the Local Government Meeting Regulations talks about a meeting may be enclosed if it relates to possible future legal action that may be taken or may involve the council.
Okay, possible future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone clear? I put that. All those in favour of it going into open?
Aye.
All those against? Show of hands, please. All those in favour? Lord Mayor. All those against? Councillor Elliott, Councillor Kelly, Councillor Kitsos, Councillor Dudder, Councillor Lohberger and Alderman Bloomfield. The motion is lost. Oh, and myself, the motion is lost. I'd just like to give a little bit of advice to elected members, and I'm sorry I'm doing this, but I would like to. If that motion had been passed, I would have vacated the chair when that item came up, because I wouldn't want to partake in anything that could be legal when we've had legal advice from our CEO. All I'm getting at is I would have vacated the chair and left the room in the discussion of that, because I don't believe that I as the chairperson could be seen as chairing a meeting which was potentially some legal issues occur. Reports of special committees. Someone moved that we receive a note, City Economy Committee.
So moved, Chair.
Moved by Lohberger. Now we've got Councillor Harvey in the room. Have you got any debate? Councillor Elliott? Councillor Kelly? Councillor Kitsos? Lord Mayor? Councillor Dudder?
Yes, I have a number of questions.
Okay, questions. Through you to the program officer.
Firstly, I just want to thank Councillor Harvey for bringing the point that he did in the meeting. I think the point is well made and that's important. And the questions are as follows. Question number one, there is a mention of the paying tax, and I want to be enlightened about what is this, and is this legal or is it some news in the information without any basis? The other...
Could I get that answered for you
Yes,
firstly?
sure.
The appropriate officer or the CEO.
I just need to clarify, Chair. What are you referring to?
I'm referring to the notes of the meeting in 6.1
I think it's
in the
attachment.
supporting information.
It's the actual minutes, I think.
Yep.
The minutes of the city
The
economy.
minutes.
Yeah, are you able to talk to
And
me?
what item in the
So it's in the supporting information 6.1,
Implement.
and it's noted at the bottom there, noted there was an ABC report charging paying tax, and then further on 7.1 under business, there is a plumber's charge paying tax. I just want some clarification because I don't understand.
No, so as I understand it, that relates to plumbers that engage with the council that believe that there are additional regulations that were being applied by the council, which required that they apply additional charges to their clients. They referred to it as a pain tax. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. It's just that that's the perception and that's the feedback that we've got through the plumbing fraternity in particular.
Okay, so just a perception.
Well, again, it's something that we're working through around the way that plumbers engage with the city through the different approval processes that we have.
All right, okay, thank you. And the other one that I have is 7.2, again in the supporting information. I understand that there was a meeting, and I'm not too sure about my date. Was it in November? And I only attended for a little while. There was a round table meeting or something. Now, and my observation in that meeting was that, you know, I didn't see anyone of Asian Pacific Afro background in that meeting. And there are so many of them when I worked the cities. They are you know, owners of shops. And I was wondering, why is it that none of them were there, or they didn't accept the invitation?
Yeah, through you, Chair, I think you're referring to the nighttime economy
I think it was
roundtable that we held recently
right.
downstairs. The stakeholders that were invited for that meeting were a cross-section of relevant large organisations and business owners that the economic development team had been working with. So there was no selection of the participants at that round table based on anything other than their role and their position in certain organisations that we had been working with.
Right. So they were invited. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else, Councillor Dutta?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lohberger?
We're talking about the next committee report, or
No, we're still talking about the
no,
one.
that's fine.
the
Thank
economy.
you, Chair. No.
Alderman Bloomfield?
I think I'd already made some private commentary on this. With the innovation and knowledge economy, we know that was a great success. I note that elected members were able to attend the nighttime economy one, and in particular I got feedback from the state government suggesting that we need to change up who we did actually include in that. So I would like to have that reviewed, please, formally, so that I can at least give you the appropriate list and so forth, so we get a really good, strong, rounded number of people to participate in that.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey?
No, I'm still trying to catch up with what we're on.
We're on item number 6.1.
Page 10?
Page 7.
He's supporting.
What are we looking at?
This is the supporting notes,
Yeah.
page 10.
Just one moment. It's all right. Councillor Harvey, what are you after?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologise for being late.
Yes?
And now I'm confused about what we're talking about.
We're
We're talking about the notes from the committee workshop.
City economy.
City
Excuse
economy.
me, please. I'm
Okay.
chairing the meeting. I want one person speaking at a time.
So there's the
Councillor Harvey's got the floor.
So I'm not quite sure where we're at in that agenda item and that we're speaking to.
Okay. Councillor Dutta was questioning the notes and the minutes. Okay. At the moment, we're on item 6, in which item 6 has a memorandum in it, but Councillor Dutta was questioning the notes and the minutes. Okay, which are an addendum to the agenda item. Okay. Hope that clarifies everything.
All right.
Okay, and if there's no further discussion, I put the item. Anyone against? No against. The item's carried unanimously. 6.2, Place and Wellbeing Committee. Councillor Kitsos, if you'd like to move this. Moved by Councillor Kitsos. Councillor Harvey, have you got anything you
No,
want to add? Alderman Bloomfield. Councillor Lohberger.
No, Chair.
Councillor Dutta. Lord Mayor. Councillor Kitsos. Councillor Kelly. Councillor Elliott. I put the item. All those in favour? All those against? Item's carried. Now we go to items for workshopping. So I'm going to invite the director to provide us a presentation, and we'll have some discussion after that. Director. Director and assistant. No problems. The floor is yours. If any elected member wishes to ask any questions during the presentation, put your hand up and I'll stop the presentation and allow questions.
I'll just general introduction. So this one was an item that did come before council before, and the request was, or there's a deferral of the item. Their request to have that workshop. So I've actually gone away and actually looked at the original report there, picked up some of the things that were actually queried about it, and we've tried to add this into the workshop. So I've got both Sean and Helen, who's from our Tracks and Trails area, who will actually be reporting on that tonight. Over to you guys.
So I guess this goes back to, originally back to 2024, when the Royal Botanical Gardens reached out to the City of Hobart to inform us they were going to close a section of track, which moved the original motion that was put forward to investigate options, alternative options to the use of that track, which was put together in a report back in September, and hence the reason we're now at the workshop, because this report needs to be workshopped. I guess Helen's been doing quite a lot of work in terms of this project, so I'm going to hand it over to her and let her run through what we've been doing. Just go to the third slide.
Hi everyone, and so this is just a quick reminder of the notice of motion. So it was to investigate the damaged section of the Cornelian Bay foreshore track that led to the closure, and what work would be required to repair that. So we investigated a range of options, and I'll go through some of those that were in the report, and if anyone's got any questions, we can go through that. So just to give the context about the site, so we've got some really nice aerial shots here that shows the Cornelian Bay foreshore. Obviously you can't see the track, but there's the Botanical Gardens. Is there a laser thing? No. So yeah, there's Cornelian Bay is up the top there, or yeah, on the right. Oh, yeah, there we go. Just let me refer to my notes here. So it is a really popular short walk. There's a lot of community interest in what's happening with it, and due to the closure of that, the portion that's on the Botanical Gardens land, there's been some community sort of dissatisfaction and inquiries about that. Quite a lot of inquiries coming through. When is it going to reopen, etc. So that just highlight the yellow sections there, highlight the land that is owned by the Botanical Gardens, and that red line there shows the section that has eroded away. It's, the Botanical Gardens deemed that it had become so eroded that it was now unsafe, and a risk to their their liability. So they made the decision to close it. We tried to negotiate with them over a number of months, while we were also looking into the options for the different options of either taking over the land ownership of this and what the cost would look like to remediate that land, and some other options that include a shifting of the rail crossing. So I'll just show. Oh, and there also in the notice of motion, it was there was a question around what the history of the track was when it was built, because there was a bit of confusion about who built it and whose responsibility it was to maintain it. There is no formal land use agreement in place, so the council takes no responsibility for that track. It is on the Botanical Gardens land, so we we can't do anything about the fact that they closed it. It was built in the 80s as a joint project with the Botanical Gardens and the state government, but we couldn't find any actual formal agreement.
Got a question from Ryan?
Yes.
What are the stars? Sorry, what are the stars?
Carnelian Bay is the
Carnelian
top star,
Bay,
so it
yeah.
gives you just some perspective, and the other star is the entrance to the Botanical Gardens.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So can I just,
Lord Mayor?
can you just repeat what you said about, so this track was a shared project of the state government and the council?
That was the information that we found in the late 80s, that it was a joint project, but there wasn't anything there was no formal agreement in place into the ongoing management and the ownership. It remains, it remains Botanical Gardens land and asset, and therefore their responsibility to maintain.
So in your records you found sort of council talking about, like, was it just exchange of letters or?
Pretty much so, yes.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to find any formal agreement between the Botanical Gardens and the city.
Any more questions at the moment? No more questions. Just like to note that Councillor Basalt is coming to the meeting, and we're on 7.1. Okay, no problem.
Thanks. There is also another potential issue that came up with a section of track that is on our land, with a boardwalk that had some maintenance issues, was recently slumping. It's not to the point where we've had to close that portion of track. It's had an engineer's report done. The issue, though, highlighted that this entire area is an Aboriginal cultural significance site, and that approvals are needed to do any in-ground work in the area. So that project is in its final stage of the permit process, but it has been approved. And so this just shows another perspective there. So that shows the tidal boundary, and so we've got HCC and Botanical Gardens land, and this, you can kind of see the track there with the arrow, and then that line is where the track has eroded away. And the star there indicates where we would propose a rail crossing, shifting the rail crossing to access the intercity cycleway, and then so it's not a dead end. So we've just got another perspective there. So that star shows where the current rail crossing is actually not on our land, that's Botanical Gardens land, and that was constructed in 2014, and it crosses the inactive rail line and onto the intercity cycleway. So regardless, people have to access onto the intercity cycleway from the Carnelian Bay foreshore track. That's just another perspective of that. So this is a close-up of what the track currently looks like. This is at low tide, I think, so it actually at a really high tide, the track is just non-existent, and you can also see that there is a significant slope, so constructing the track further up the bank is not really possible, and this is a video. So it just gives you a good indication of what the current conditions are.
So over the weekend, BOM issued a number of weather warnings, one of those being an exceptionally high tide. So during that, you probably would have seen it throughout the city, throughout the whole waterway through the channel. This particular area was underwater. So that occurs several times a year. It was quite a calm, high tide. There was no storm surge attached to that, so it was just a matter of water covering the track. The issue would be when you combine that with a storm surge, is where we get significant damage, or could get significant damage.
There is a growing amount of research and strategic documentation to advise land use planning on coastal foreshore areas. So, for example, in New South Wales, councils are moving away from perpetual seawall construction and beach renourishment because these measures are unsustainable. under rising sea levels and for storm surge scenarios. Instead, they are considering planned relocations and strategic land use changes to direct development away from high-risk beachfront areas or riparian areas like this one. And so the city's manager of legal and governance has also recommended a strategic retreat away from investing in these high-risk areas. The Climate Ready Hobart document also supports the strategic retreat away from investment in vulnerable coastal zones and emphasises that built infrastructure must be climate ready, meaning any asset investment should account for sea level rise, storm surge and flooding risks.
So we're expecting a rise of about 30 centimetres in this area in the next 25 years, which will effectively put a lot of that track close to being underwater.
And the Climate Ready Hobart strategy also aligns with the Tasmanian Coastal Adaptation Pathways project, which advises councils to avoid locking in assets in areas highly exposed to inundation and erosion. The strategy doesn't specifically restrict this type of infrastructure development, but advises that long-term coastal considerations just be taken into account in the design, and if the potentially significant investment, which this could be, in a more resilient infrastructure is it a reasonable use of the ratepayers' money. There's some more photos there. So we did an investigation, as I mentioned. We assessed a range of options against criteria, as you can see there. So we did a bit of a decision matrix. So the cost to rated the options with the cost of the council, community impact, long-term sustainability, ease of implementation and reputational risk. So I'll just go through the options that we looked at. They were in the report. So option 1, which is shifting the rail crossing, like I mentioned, that delivers the continuous public through access from the boat sheds to the Botanical Gardens without requiring any land transfer from the Botanical Gardens to us or a shared land use arrangement, and doesn't really involve any costly repair work to the degraded water edge track. The rail corridor is owned by the Crown Land, managed by Tasrail, who have provided in principle approval. And the coordination and construction by their approved contractor, we've already touched base with them and gone out to site with them to determine costs. It is any proposal that any development there is going to be subject to approval from Aboriginal Heritage Tas. So the estimated costs for the option 1 is around $35,000. It's based on the previous rail crossing construction and Tasrail advice, as well as advice from our internal bushland infrastructure team. So it is the lowest cost and probably least complex in terms of design and approvals, but there is potential for dissatisfaction from the community in losing about 300 metres of foreshore track to join onto the intercity cycleway, which, as I mentioned, they have to join onto it anyway, but this is just bringing it further. So the other options that we looked at, I'll just quickly try and go through these. So option 2, Botanical Gardens retains the land but decommissions the track, which is would occur. The Hobart City Council would incur no operational financial responsibility, but bear the brunt of ongoing frustration from the community. Which
essentially have a dead end track.
A dead end, yeah. So it's a high reputational risk for that. Option 3 being that the Botanical Gardens retain ownership at that lower the service level to Class 4. They weren't supportive of this. A Class 4 track is considered a rough, uneven, difficult track in the Australian walking standards, but and it's not in line with the rest of the foreshore track, which is a Class 2. So there would be no cost to council for that, but it is not supported by the Botanical Gardens. They're not very keen to reopen it and lower the service level. So option 4 is that Botanical Gardens retain ownership but lease or licence the track corridor to the council. Botanical Gardens is open to this option in the conversations that we've had with them. It is subject to council undertaking repairs, obviously on the track, ongoing maintenance at the council's full expense. Temporary works have been costed at about $75,000, with long-term solutions requiring further substantial investment. Construction treatments for the track may be constrained by Aboriginal heritage conditions as well. So therefore there's a number of uncertainties basically with option 4 and 5, 5 being that the Botanical Garden transfers the land to the City of Hobart, in which case the same construction costs. So it would be, yeah, there's quite a few unknowns there, treating the water edge carefully with heritage, plus the difficulty of actually getting material and working there. A barge would probably have to be used, which we haven't really done much of before. And the need to raise the level probably to about 1/2 metre, because as Sean said, with the rising sea level predictions.
So it's important to note the site itself, where the on the Royal Botanical Gardens land is quite steep. So there's not many options, or there's no option for us to move a track further up without some serious major civil infrastructure to support it. So the only other option would be really is to sort of create, I guess, essentially a boardwalk that sort of is cantilevered out, which comes with massive cost.
Okay, no, Lord Mayor, Councillor Loberger.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just really interested in option 3. And I guess the Botanical Gardens not being supportive, what form did that take? Did they just say they're not going to do it, or they...
Yeah.
We can't make them reclassify that track because they own it.
And so essentially they just closed their bit of it and that's it.
That's it.
They're not going to...
We've spent months trying to negotiate with them and provide advice, because we manage a lot of class 4 tracks with no problem.
Yep.
You just need to have appropriate signage and information provided to the public about the level of service for that track and potential dangers, but they didn't want a bar of it.
It could be managed very easily with some signage.
Yeah.
That's how we would manage it.
My question was going to be, the community would prefer to have kind of both options, to be able to take the easy route if they want, and if it's low tide and it's dry, it's pretty okay at the moment. And the really nice bit of the track, and I've heard this from a lot of people, is that bottom section.
Exactly.
So there's just no, that's it though, that's no option.
We've tried,
Their
unfortunately,
preferred option is option 1.
Right.
So they're supportive of option 1 as well.
Let's keep the questions, Councillor Basalt.
No, sorry, I was going to make a
I'll give comments in a minute.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll make
Question, Lord Mayor.
Just clarifying questions. So the heritage constraints there for all options have the Tasmanian Aboriginal Heritage approval?
For the options that involve development.
So
even option 1,
yes.
1 to 5.
Yes.
Unless there's no works at all, requires to have heritage constraints?
We would still have to get approval to put signs in the ground there.
Okay. Is there a counter on this? Do we have any idea about the utilisation of this track?
There is a counter there.
Do we know how many people use it a week?
I'll get back to you.
Take that on notice.
Yes.
Just before I get...
And sorry, one more question. So you're saying that you could create a track that sort of survives for 25 years for $300,000?
Plus, possibly.
Oh, plus, okay. But you don't know the top amount?
It depends on heritage constraints, where we can actually build, what we can build.
Wouldn't that just go back where it was, but raised a bit?
We might be able to, we may not be able to, but yeah.
We costed a boardwalk at about $300,000 based on a boardwalk that they recently built in Glenorchy, also through the river. So fairly accurate costs there.
Do you mean the Montrose?
Yeah.
The gas walkway?
Yes, I think, the Montrose, I think it is in Montrose.
So what, you sort of add it to the, just as a little red bit? Like, you just literally put it in that little patch of red? Is that where you...
it's 100 metres long.
For the 100 metre section.
It's 100 metres long.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord Mayor.
Thank you.
Councillor Sherlock has joined the meeting. Councillor Kitsos.
Thank you, Chair. Just curious in your recommendation matrix, whether like the length of time for success for these options was kind of considered. So option one is obviously very clearly an immediate solution that's pretty cost effective, but I'm just wondering how that kind of stacks up if you look at this in 25 years' time compared to a more robust construction, whether we're just going to see closure of the track potentially in the future anyway. Yeah, just whether or not you consider that in your recommendations, please.
I suppose we didn't really consider it in this decision matrix, but it has been considered in the overall, thinking that long-term future. It was mentioned actually in the report that potentially, in say 30, 50 years' time, the entire track will be decommissioned
including
anyway.
sections of our own track.
Yeah.
Made it to be decommissioned.
So.
Okay, thank you. Look, before I open up for discussion, I'm going to go around and see if anyone's got any other questions, and then we'll open up for discussion. Councillor Basalt, question?
Sure. No.
Councillor Harvey?
Yes, with option one, which I think is the most logical, and it also supports the council policy of not trying to defend places that won't be there in the climate environment that we're heading into. But the track won't be shut off. The Botanical Gardens won't post signage at the end to say don't go here and don't walk along this track. That's none of our business what they do with that. We're just going to create a new crossover and that's it. You walk along the railway line or you take your risks and you walk along the coast if you choose.
Yeah, that's correct. So understanding from the Royal Botanical Gardens wishes they would like to replant the whole zone with riparian area, so they can replant that whole area.
That's not our business.
That's not up to us at all.
Thank you.
People will continue to go around the barriers and use that track.
Yeah, thank you.
That's none of our business.
Alderman Bloomfield. Councillor Oberger.
Yes, Chair, just relating to Councillor Harvey's question. So are they going to replant in the track, do you think, or are they going to just leave the track alone and people can still
It's up to
use
them.
We don't know.
Yeah, don't really know.
Right.
It's their land to.
Councillor Dudder.
Not at this stage.
Councillor Sherlock. Lord Mayor.
Oh, yeah, I am. So, do we know whether that riparian replanting is a real thing? Like, have they got budget for it?
They've told us that's what they would do. I don't know. They may have to go through a bidding process like we do. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's their land.
Yeah, like Macquarie Street is state government's land, but we'd probably still have a say if they wanted to do something like that.
They've got their own. They've got
it's in their Botanical Gardens strategic master plan.
So it's an action in their strategic master plan. Whether they implement that is up to them.
Oh, so they've been planning to do this for a long time.
Yeah, 2009 I believe the strategic master plan was developed.
Councillor Kitsos. Councillor Kelly.
What maintenance have we as a council performed on this track in the last, say, 10 to 20 years?
Very minimal. Vegetation mainly. So it's just removing overhanging vegetation. Typically after a storm surge, we might go in there and remove limbs, branches, those sorts of things.
Have we done anything?
We really haven't done anything
on the track. So nothing's been done on that track.
No.
Not on Botanical Gardens section.
Correct. Yeah. So they haven't done anything on the gravelling resurfacing either, have they? Which I'm quite aware of. They haven't, but I wanted to confirm that. So it's okay. So nothing's been spent since we've had it in the last 20 years, as far as resurfacing we're going.
Not that I'm aware of.
That's good. The Aboriginal heritage issues. So there's the water, there's the track, there's a bit of rock, there's the track we're talking about, there's a steep embankment, and there's a railway line. And then there's the concrete track.
Yes,
Yeah, so that's different layers.
Yes, lots of layers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was a Aboriginal heritage issue. The field that was cut to make that railway, which is extremely substantial because it's a two-lane track. It was a two-rail track,
Yeah.
very wide it must be. It's like a double lane railway. All that fill was pushed onto the bank and down to the water's edge in some parts, like a little bit back, probably a couple of metres back from the water's edge. So that has an Aboriginal heritage issue with thousands and thousands of tonnes of clean fuel being poured over the bank. That's still an Aboriginal heritage site.
Yes. Yeah. It's a
How does
cultural
that
living.
work?
It's a cultural living site that underneath all of that disturbance
Right.
is are a series of middens all the way along that foreshore.
Right.
Yeah.
So the track, by doing work on the track, is a problem with AHT, is it?
If we construct, if we go
No,
with
if we maintain the track.
if we maintain, no, because it's an established asset.
Okay.
We just can't dig in.
No, okay, so
So
work could be done on the
work can
track
be
which
done.
would not cause complications with the Aboriginal heritage.
I don't think
To-
so.
to make
It
it-
would require a reasonably decent upgrade to the walling, so it would involve some digging, and we would have to get permits to do that.
Well, that's subjective, yeah, okay.
Okay.
You mentioned, I haven't finished
No,
that
sorry.
question, if I may.
Yep.
You mentioned too, further back towards the start of the track, that there's substantial work to be done there. That's on those boardwalk part, which is leaning over a bit there now. And all that.
Just
So,
something, yeah.
yeah, but that's got nothing to do with coastal erosion, it's just way up the bank, way above the boat sheds.
That asset's just failing.
Yeah, because there's no maintenance been spent on that,
That's
and
right.
it's all repairable, and it's absolutely nothing to do with heritage, Aboriginal heritage, nor does it have anything to do with rising tides and global warming.
It possibly has been impacted by rising tides.
No, it's right under the hill.
It's too far.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
way
it's
back.
it's just a
I
it
just
just
wanted to
failed.
It's just maintenance.
Yes, and
So
maintenance.
it's just maintenance that needs to be spent on.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't significant enough to even shut that boardwalk.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just futurising. You mentioned that, look, there's a possibility this whole track's going to be decommissioned in the future.
Sections of it might cause that, not that section in particular, but other areas of it might.
Yeah, certainly in say 25, 50 years, if anything along the coast could be impacted. If you
No,
look
that's
at
50 years, that's fine.
yeah.
And just to qualify too, I find it absolutely amazing that Royal Tasmanian Botanical Gardens won't even contemplate a Class 4 track.
Yes,
I mean,
it's been
really? I
frustrating.
mean, was there much discussion saying, hey, come on, you know, because we're the ones that cop all the reputational
That's
damage
right.
here. But
Yeah.
we can say what we want and put little signs up which have been done
Yeah.
and which have been totally ignored because everyone still uses that track,
Yep.
by the way.
Yeah,
As you know, in fact, I'd like to
Yes.
counter on that, and I don't think there's been any accidents whatsoever as far as I'm aware.
people just go around.
Of course, people know the drill.
We are quite experienced in managing class 4 tracks across the mountain and across other areas of bushland, so,
Yes, so
we were able to give them that information
Yes.
quite.
Yeah. And their answer to that was,
They're not supportive of that at all.
did they say why not?
It's not supportive of that. No, they were very
Okay.
in there.
Thank
It's
you.
been answered twice. Councillor Elliott, so again, I'm going to go around and see if anyone wants to have any debate or questions. Councillor Elliott? Councillor Kelly?
Debate? Yeah.
Debate?
Yeah. I'd just like to summarise what.
Yes, you
say.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Got the
look,
floor.
just on that last point first, here's a botanical gardens, they spend over $6 million a year on their, just look it up, on what they do. It's a foreshore park, it's been there forever. To me, this is bad public relations from them, and to me, it seems an absolute massive cop-out for them not to have to do this, knowing full well that we're going to be the people that's going to cop all the black over this. And I'd make a comment that that's extremely sad that they are, with their budget and what they're supposed to do, we're not asking to put a car park in or and all this stuff, and with the option to the Class 4 track, and as you quite rightly say, we do so much of that, and we mitigate the risk. And then, you know, the alternative, people can still go on the upper track there. I'm just so disappointed with their attitude towards that. Look, Hobart's a river city, and here we are, talking about, you know, this great place which we are, and all those pictures there are stunning. You look at those drone shots there, and to me it just reinforces, wow, you know, this is what makes this city great, is that river And this track is absolutely part of who we are. You look at Melbourne, Brisbane, which consistently comes up in our conversations about the little bridges and all they do there. It's just amazing to think that, you know, we shouldn't be using this as, you know, prized asset. And here we are doing more studies on Sells Point and, you know, Cornelian Bay and all that, and we're prepared to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on that, yeah, to lose this lifeline. And please don't tell me that people can walk on the concrete bike track, which is a big risk to do and not as pleasant. I mean, the bike's got their place and the walkers have got their place down the bottom. As I say, I go on that track twice a month for the last 30 years, and as a kid, I've never seen a single accident. Sure, it's people know the rules when you're walking along the track and all that. I totally discount the fact that you just mentioned no maintenance been done on that track up the last 20 years, and you're right, it hasn't, from what I've seen. So therefore, to do some once-off maintenance for the first time to fix this up, the base is there. You saw all the big rocks there, the bowls as they call them. The gravel on top of that, it's not a hard job to do. It's not a hard job, and that would bring it up to a class 3 or even 2 level, I would have thought. So disappointing on that level, disappointing that, you know, this will cut a big part of that chunk off, and then people will lose the whole experience of going onto a concrete track, which is going to be dangerous as well. I mean, I'd like to know the risk mitigation factors there. The Aboriginal heritage thing I touched on before, okay, it might be below thousands and thousands of tonne of fuel, so but the point I'm making is, when you just explained to me that that's beyond that, so that's not an impact on there. In summary, disappointing with the botanical gardens, it's a cop-out by them, dumping it all on us. We also mentioned too, this is a 30-year thing, the tides are going to rise and be a problem. For a bit of maintenance, that linkage can be done. And it's not big, nothing's been done for 30 years, so a few $1,000 of re-gravelling that would keep that lifeline going, see how the erosion goes. It's not a big deal. It's so cherished, this track. It's used by a lot of people. And I just think we should be doing everything we can and for that track to be open and left as up, spending a bit of money. It's so disappointing. I'd be expressing a disappointment with the RTGB about this. We've just got to sometimes roll our sleeves up and do this small job. We're spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, on bike tracks and other great facilities for the city. This is a small part of who we are and what we espouse to be, this river.
Councillor Kitsos.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I think the way that I would sum this up is it's a bit of a mess, and I think that it does need improving. I don't think the inner city cycleway is a replacement for what the walk on the foreshore offers. It's, you know, the inner city cycleway, people do walk on it, yes, but it's not a nice place to walk, and it's particularly that stretch along there with the fence as well. It's quite narrow, and e-bikes, e-scooters, road cyclists and things are moving quite rapidly through that space. So it's certainly not a spot for a meander with your doggy. On a nice morning, I can see the challenges linking it all together, and I can see the challenges with rising tides and storm surges. So it is really tricky. I feel like option 1 is a no-brainer for an immediate solution, but I'm just wondering whether we can kind of have, you know, chew gum while we walk, and maybe do that so we can give the residents immediate access back to their path, but then do some scoping studies for what is feasible to secure that track for, say, the next 30 to 50 years. I suspect that's probably as far future-proofed as we can manage it, and noting that our climate policy is to move away from these coastal areas with you know, rising tide levels and erosion, but it is such an asset to the city. I think the water quality studies and things that we're doing in Cornelian Bay, we could see in the Cornelian Bay master plan, we could see quite an increase in recreational activity to that area. So I think this is a lost opportunity. Again, we've kind of built infrastructure really close to our river, and now the people can't access it. So I wouldn't mind seeing some more investigative work on what the actual costings would be to find a solution.
Thank you, Councillor. Lord Mayor.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask a question going back to the diagram map. Whether who has responsibility of...
This one?
Yeah, so going further south, east, no, going further east, has anyone ever looked at sort of having the track go right around that sort of other bit of land, like in for a penny, in for a pound kind of thing? Like
Botanical Gardens land.
Yeah.
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 That's
There is walking
gardens land.
There's tracks.
Old Mayor's got the floor.
So there's tracks there, because again, I guess I'm agreeing a bit with Councillor Kelly and Councillor Kitsos that I'd prefer to be discussing this in the context of the Cornelian Bay Master Plan as part of access and thinking about that, than sort of making a decision outside of that. And I know we've got a problem immediately, but I sort of feel like it is very much tied in with that discussion about what we envisage Cornelian Bay to be. I don't want us, I think I totally appreciate sea level rise challenges. They are a little bit different in riverine environments compared to, obviously, beach environments. But yeah, I think I'd like to know how many people use it, because again, if we're not sort of over-engineering things, I think there is all the issues around creating a more livable city for 20 years, and if a piece of infrastructure, if we say, look, this infrastructure may go underwater in high tides or, in 15 years' time or 20 years' time, but we've sort of worked out that actually for the number of people using it, that's not a bad asset life. I think we have to kind of make those judgment calls rather than just saying all coastal development, we can't do it, particularly when it's around creating a more active city and there's wellbeing issues and all those sort of things. I think we do have to be a little bit more nuanced in how we think about it. And so yeah, really interested in the counter, because we spend sometimes millions of dollars on assets that have quite small numbers of people using them every week, and so I think we really should have the sense of that. Yeah, don't want to over-engineer it, but I'd love to think about, again, maybe, it's a shame Royal Botanic Gardens don't have a bit more of a vision for that entire stretch. And yeah, I can see if they just wanted to plant it. And if we had lots of other riverside walkways, I'd understand it, but we don't really have a lot. So yeah, anyway, that's my thinking at the moment.
Councillor Sherlock. Councillor Dudder.
I don't want to repeat the points that's already been made, but I reserve my right to speak later when I hear other. But I have a question. The consultation and the discussion that you've had, are they in writing or is it just verbal?
With the Botanical Gardens,
yes.
We have both. We've met them on site. We've had lots of calls and emails between their asset manager and also their director.
Okay, thank you.
Just a note, Councillor Dudder, all elected members have got a right to speak as many times as long as it's new information. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. No, I was just making that point just in case.
No. There's no. I don't shut down debate, but I.
No, I'm not talking about shutting down debate. I'm just saying I will have my right to speak.
I've made my point.
I said I will have my right to speak later. That's what I'm saying.
Councillor Loberger, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'm on the same page, I think, as Councillor Kelly and Councillor Kitsos. It's really disappointing, the attitude of the Botanical Gardens. The community does use this track a lot, and anyone who's been on it, as Councillor Kelly pointed out, will see there's huge desire lines going around the fences and the signs saying don't use it. And every time I go down there, I see a lot of other people on it. I did like Councillor Kitsos' suggestion that we get on with reopening this track, but that we don't just drop the potential extension and the section on the land owned by the Botanical Gardens. And that maybe we could refer that issue to the team handling the Cornelian Bay Master Plan, which I think the Lord Mayor sort of brought up as well. It's not a bad idea. And I guess the only other thing I can suggest is maybe we engage with the Minister who's responsible for the gardens and try and get some political pressure on this, because my other thought is that if and when we do reopen the track, I think our comms team needs to be really clear about our disappointment and about what has happened and why we can't reopen that bottom section, which, as I've stated previously, contains some of the nicest sections of the track. I love the gardens, but I think we really need to be very clear publicly about what's happened here, because otherwise, as the Chair has pointed out, and numerous other people around the table, we wear it. We will wear it, and your guys will wear it out there, and it's nothing to do with us, which is incredibly disappointing. So yes, look, I don't want it to just die. I would like to see some further investigation, but let's get this track reopened as soon as possible. Thank you, Chair.
Alderman Bloom.
Okay, the points I wanted to make is I think we need to remember this is the Royal Botanical Gardens land, and we don't know what we don't know. There's been mention that they have a plan, that they want to do some planting, and they have some ideas what they want to do, but they have not communicated that with us. So I think it's presumptuous to demand that the Botanical Gardens do what we tell them to do, when we actually don't even know what they plan to do yet. So what I'm kind of looking at is saying, well, Plan 1 looks good, you know, it's ticked all the boxes, everything looks fine and reasonable. I perhaps think that we should review it at a later date, once they've actually done and progressed their plan. Because I can't accept that just because we don't get our own way, we should spend more money and more time pushing our way. Because, you know, would we do that in any other part? I don't really think we would. And I don't think that we, I just find it quite bizarre that this isn't even our land. They want to do something different. I think we have we should respect that. So, whilst I appreciate that the public will be disappointed, I can't see also why it wouldn't be communicated that that was their decision, and then allow them the right to communicate what they plan to do, because that's what we don't have on the table today. And yet here we want to throw more money at it and be upset about it, but I actually think that's probably a little bit too early, and that probably what we need to do is get on with this choice 1 and review this other part later, because for all we know, we might be really impressed with what they want to do, but it's not really fair just superimpose ourselves over the top of them and go, well, we're going to spend more money, more time, and push you into something we want. I don't think that's right.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Question first,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. What's our annual grant to Botanical Gardens? What do we give them every year?
Do we still give them money?
Lord Mayor's all right. Let the officers work it out.
I believe we give them any.
Oh, we don't have a grant for them anymore.
I believe so.
Oh, there you go. That was Plan A. Get them to pay for their own. Use the grant to pay for the works to be done. But look, I'm supportive of option 1. I'm also highly conscious of the inundation issue we're going to have going forward into the future, and if we've got something in our policy that says we need to start considering retreating from areas rather than spending money defending them, and we're suggesting possibly 30 centimetre rise in the next 25 years. It could be more. You know, it's not going to be less. It could be more. So I'm not keen to spend a whole lot of money developing a track for a short period of time. It's really vulnerable because it's right on the edge. Unless you pushed it back up the hill a little bit, and like you're saying, then you'd need quite a substantial retaining wall. So I'm happy with option 1, and Botanical Gardens can do what they want with their land. If they want to replant it, that's fine. If it gets trampled, that's fine. And maybe revisit this at some point in 25 years' time. We'll see what the water looks like then. You know, but I'm happy with option 1, and that's the best shot for me.
Thank you. Councillor Sol.
Thanks, Chair. Very, very passionate about this. So, as a number of people have pointed out, this is a much loved track. The intercity cycleway is not the place for walking or recreational walking. It's just not. Like, coming in that section, as Councillor Kitsos points out, it's on a corner, it's slightly downhill, and the prevailing wind for incoming cyclists means a very strong tailwind. It's not hard for me to hit 50 on a road bike in that section.
Why would you be doing that?
Please.
Sorry? It's not hard, and it's perfectly legal to hit 50 in that section. It's dangerous to shift a whole lot of pedestrian, children and dog walkers there. But beyond the cycleway itself, Cornelian Bay is 4 and a bit kilometres from where we sit now. It's less than 4 kilometres from Macquarie Point. There is an opportunity here with breadth of thinking to provide an amazing coastal walkway. Yes, I know the Hugh and Keys and stuff are in the way and we have to work with that, but there is a whole bunch of land that sits between the intercity cycleway, the railway line and the river that could be used to provide an incredible walk all the way through to Cornelian Bay, and this part would be part of that. So I think that it's really short-sighted to not pursue this. I think that coastal inundation and withdrawal from coastal land, in my mind, applies to things like skyscrapers on the Gold Coast, or even sections of places like Lauderdale and Cremorne that have homes, serious built infrastructure on sand dunes. East Coast storm surge is not the same as estuarine storm surge. If we just have a little bit of water come up over a boardwalk a couple of times a year, it's a bit different to the sort of erosion that we see on some of the East Coast when we get proper storm surges there. So yes, climate change needs to be managed. Yes, Aboriginal heritage needs to be managed. But we can do this in a sensitive way that could provide what Battery Point Walkway promised, but may well be too hard to deliver, which is a beautiful coastal walkway from the city. People can come here, enjoy a beautiful stroll, go up to the Botanic Gardens, go down to Cornelian Bay, have an ice cream, have lunch, go for a swim, and walk back. Why wouldn't we do that? So I would say, get the land off the garden, give it to us, and I think that we should be pursuing Pavilion Point at the same time. It makes no sense for the gardens to own two chunks of land that are separated by a state highway and a state rail corridor from the Botanic Gardens themselves. They should have always been council land. So that would be my strong thoughts.
Okay, thank you. There's been a very good contribution by everybody. I just want to firstly, in regards, ask a couple of questions in regards to the funding. I would like to know clearly whether we're giving any funding at all whatsoever or any assistance to the Botanical Gardens. But if we're currently not doing so, could we get how much funding we've provided over the years? Because we used to definitely provide funding directly to the Botanical Gardens. So I'd like to know, I'd take it on notice, okay? Secondly, in regards to the land that's owned by the Botanical Gardens was not always owned by the Botanical Gardens. It was actually Crown land, some parts of it, right? And some parts of it where the Hobart City Council contributed towards the reinstatement of some of that land as well. So we've actually contributed to, over the years, contributed to the Botanical Gardens in the land that they own there. In particular, the point there where the big green shed used to be on, that used to be Crown land, and the Hobart City Council contributed quite a considerable amount of money towards that over the years. I've got to absolutely agree. There was a comment made, it's a mess. It's absolutely a mess. There's been quite a number of comment in regards to use by the public. I think for once I see around this table we've got just about consensus about the public use and the importance of the public use here. So if we've got a consensus about, nearly a consensus about this, I think what we need to do is sit the Botanical Gardens down, and or if they're not prepared to sit down and work with us, maybe I think we go to the next step, the next level. But that's another matter to look at. But I believe that hopefully our council officers can go and sit down and take them out to lunch and hopefully convince them that it might be a good idea. But at the end of the day, what we could be doing with the Botanical Gardens on their plan is working with them on their plan, which works in with our plan. And the other thing I'd just like to throw in regards to it, what we also could be doing is having points where people can come down from the bikeway and walk down from the bikeway. It'd be great to have that links along the way. So in all, I totally agree, they are short-sighted, and they are being very much short-sighted, which was mentioned by thing. What I'm doing is going over a lot of what was said. So look, to me, I hope someone will. I know we can't. This is workshopping. I'd hope that listening to just every elected member here, maybe the CEO can make a nice little appointment with the Botanical Gardens, first step, and come back to us, and then we can decide whether or not we take the next step. That's what I'm. Okay, got Councillor Kelly and Councillor Lohberger.
Just one more question, if I may,
yes.
To you, Chair.
New information only, please.
Yeah, it's regarding the suggest the walking people going on to the bike riding track. Was there any study done regarding safety assessment on that?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
But there would be, and there currently is a crossing. So we're just proposing to shift the crossing to our land.
Yeah, but we wanted people to walk on that pretty long stretch as well, so, yeah.
Okay.
They already do walk along the intercity cycleway though, because where the dots end there, they have to join
Yeah, but
that
there's a
purple
huge volume
crossing.
more people do to go on there, but what I'm saying is we're dumping a lot more people on there than...
The same amount of people.
It's the same amount.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I just wondered if we could grab a copy of this presentation, if that's possible.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
Lord Mayor?
Oh, it was just to reiterate, can we discuss this as part of Cornelian Bay Master Plan?
Yeah, look, I think we've actually heard the sentiment fairly clearly around the table there, so this will have to come back to council for decision. So we're quite happy to bring it back there with that sentiment and include that in the recommendations. So I think we're good with that.
Councillor Daly, got anything else to add?
No, the points have been made, so I won't repeat myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good discussion. Righto, we have got questions without notice. Councillor Passol? Councillor Harvey?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Loberger? Councillor Dutta? Councillor Sherlock? Councillor Lord Mayor?
No, thank you.
Councillor Kitsos? Councillor Harvey? Kelly? Councillor Kelly? No?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott? Alderman Bloomfield? Okay, so we are now closing the close. Someone move?
Move, Chair.
Okay, now we go into closed.